Hey there. If you like what you see and you want to see more like it, feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Anyways, on to the video. Alright, so we have another child banner on our hands. I'm going to be honest, I didn't know if they were actually going to do another one of these since the first one was for the 30th anniversary of the very first game. And from my little bits of totally research, there's nothing really sharing an actual anniversary with this year. The only thing is on like a 5-ish year, like probably like a 25th anniversary of genealogy. But from the preview, it really seems like we're either getting something of Sacred Stones or, dare I even say, and I actually tried looking into this, possibly like a guide in our Shadows of Valentia thing, only because I really wanted to see if there was actually a chance that it could be, and what I thought was Lyon and Claire, at least possibly. But then I realized, looking closer at some of the key details, it really looks like it's Tana and Inez. So if it's not them, I really don't know what to think. And I'm kind of hoping, I don't want this to be a guiding banner, but I wouldn't hate it. You know what, whatever. Fine, let's go with it. It'll actually load. There we go. I'm just closing my eyes randomly. I don't want to read anything. I don't want to see anything. I'll read it in post-production. I do not care. Okay. Yep. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Figured. Okay.
Flying through the sky on a Pegasus makes you feel like you're on top of the world.
Very interesting voice, I guess, chosen. What is that B skill? Hold up. Near trace? What?
Just you wait.
It's giving a conditional canto? Or am I being... What? Wait. Oh my god. What? Uh-uh? Oh no. Ooh, Lara Shell? I like what I see. That's cool.
I can tell you're excited to be speaking to someone so noble as I.
Cool.
Over where?
Okay, so she's definitely not the demote. Unlucky. More what? Oh my god. This is actually just going to be a Kanto banner, isn't it? Oh no. I don't know what to think. It's going to get worse from here, isn't it? It has to. Oh no. And I think she's also a ranged unit technically too. Young Lyon? What? Hold up, what?
I always wanted friends.
And he's a demote unit. He's third up, he has to be. What? Oh my god. Well, that definitely threw me for a loop. Okay. Wow. I mean, we've technically had a young Lyon before, but this is even younger. Oh, okay. You know, this makes a lot of sense. Of course, it had to be these two.
Together, we're unstoppable.
Makes sense.
Definitely.
So they have, if they have rapiers, I swear to God. Blade of Renee. Okay, so it's like, whatever. I tried. Okay. Huh. The outfits actually look pretty nice. There's a very subtle nod to their obvious outfits, but you know, it's still there, obviously. Why are you there?
Stay close to me.
What is this? I didn't even look.
Can we manage?
I'll just check later. I'm just confused. Why are you there? Wait, does their skill just give Kanto? Wait, no, it doesn't. I'll just check it again. I'm not even good at comments. But okay.
We can handle this.
Very interesting. I'm assuming Inez is the free unit then, right? At least that's what I would imagine. Because I haven't seen him yet. Yep, there he is. Okay, cool. Interesting. Oh, he's got decent HP too at 46 base. I mean, we'll see what happens later on when the notification for the Tempest Trial, because that's coming out in a few hours. All right, so we've got young Tana. I mean, the hair kind of gave it away. It was just kind of obvious at that rate. And even just looking at some of the nods, it was just inevitable. But it's just like, oh well. Obviously, she's going to be a Lance Flyer. Like, what else would she not be? Well, at least. Would she ever be anything besides a Flyer? I doubt it. Okay, so I'm going to look at the weapon first before we get into this whole... I don't even know. Kanto? Okay. All right, so she's got Slang. Unit can move to a space within 2 spaces of an ally within 2 spaces. Oh, so you're basically just taking what Halloween Noe had, but, you know, just making... Okay. Damn, I see how it is. At start of combat, if she's above 25% HP, she'll get +6 attack and speed to herself during combat. And, wait, and also, if unit initiates combat, she'll also get +10 defense and res. Well, that is definitely overkill at that rate. She is going to be a monster on player phase just because of the sheer amount of stats that she gets. At that rate, you have to take into account even steady impact as well. And I'm not going to count anything else right now. Just from those innate player phase skills, you've got +6 attack, +10 resistance. You have 20 defense and 13 speed upon initiation. And keep in mind, your opponent also can't follow up because of the impacts. Jesus, that is nuts. Oh my god. I think the only thing that's really cheesing me here is because I really wanted Noe to have a niche with her mobility, but then they give it to young Tana here, which is kind of just like, god damn it, I want her to be unique at the very least, but what do you see? Otherwise, she has Draconic Aura. That must mean that she has like a decentish attack set. Then attack speed Ryan. I can see where that just comes into play. Can double easier. And just, again, can take a little bit more damage too. It's like, she's not going to have, I think, the highest defense and resistance altogether. But they're going to be very deceptive. Only really so on initiation, but that's besides the point. Alright, so she has speed, defense, near trace 3. Enables Kanto Rem 1. Inflicts speed and defense -3 on foe during combat. Okay, so that's whatever. After an attack, let's go structure destruction. You can move spaces equal any movement not already used that turn +1. So even if you move your 2 spaces, you'll at least have a chance to move back, I think, 1 space, was it? I need to see that demo again that they had before. Yeah, so it was just moving 1 space, right? The unit was where exactly? Okay, so yeah, she did like the jump movement. She technically used 2 spaces, I think, of movement in that regard. Or actually, no, because she warped, actually. So she still gets the 1 no matter what, even if she uses like her max movement, which I guess in this case, you can imagine that's what's happening here. Oh, and it shows her stats. Okay, so 51, 41, 29, 23. Okay, so she actually has okay-ish defense, actually, and then you jump that up. That's giving you, at the very least, 53. How does young Tana have 53 defense on initiation? What? That is absolutely nuts. Otherwise, what is it? A 16 might lance, so that's that 39, I believe. Okay, so yeah, basically everything's kind of just put into all those stats, and then a little bit more into her defense, just so that she can just be some really bizarre defense bruiser at that rate. That is bizarre, but even still, you're getting 6, 7, plus 13. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. You're getting 20 more with that. So effectively, on the player phase, if she's healthy, she literally gets 61 speed. What? And that's at base. Oh my god. That is... Wow. I'm kind of blown away by that one. That is absolutely ridiculous. I guess the good part is that she doesn't have any really weird-ish effects, like being able to tag on some sort of class effectiveness at that rate. Honestly, at the very end of it, I think that it's probably better that she does have the sling, just so that in that case, she's going to mostly just kill everything that she needs to kill, but even at that rate, she'll still have, well, if she really wants to, she can have like a 1-charge Glimmer or Moonbow at that rate if she's not doing enough, which is possible. It's not like she's getting the most insane amount of damage. I mean, it's 55, 6, so that's 61, 64 with the trace. So it's not the most. It can obviously stack up, obviously, and it most likely will. It's just that you're getting a lot of everything else, specifically more so speed and defense, but not necessarily your attack. And that can easily get remedied but I just wonder how she'll work in most matchups, at least where it comes down to it. The other added bonus is that she has insane movement, so maybe she doesn't necessarily need to kill sometimes. I think, well, she probably will at the very end of it. How I'm imagining it right now is that she could possibly be used as an ARD. I can't think of which season quite yet, but if you have somebody who's like a defensive tank or whatever, she can probably handle that pretty well just because of the sheer amount of defense that she is getting. It doesn't matter what sort of debuff that unit might have, like your tank could have. She should be able to fight right through it if she's initiating. So at that rate, it feels like she's able to at least sustain herself with taking on Brave Hector. And just based on what is in her kit, the AI can make that work out at least remotely well, I would imagine. Mostly just because of the fact that, hey, you have all that innate extra guidance movement initially, and then you have at least a little bit of like a one space canto right after that, so that your team can assist you further if that so calls for it. Like, honestly, maybe what you could honestly do is that you can probably run a blade in her seal as well and just use her as some sort of Gale Force unit at that rate, given that she doesn't die. But I think the point is that she's not going to die unless you throw her up against somebody who can most likely kill her, like probably like a close foil-ish archer, or maybe even like a green mage. If they can get their hands on her, they can take her out. That's what I'm thinking here at the very least. But I think overall, she's going to be very interesting at the very least. She has a lot to just keep her alive and just do what she needs to do. And I think that's really what ends up mattering at the end, because I'm pretty sure all that's on initiation, at least for her weapon. I'm just double checking. No, actually, it's just... So the dual phase part is just the attack and speed. She's not getting the defense and res on the enemy phase. So if you're going at her, yeah, you can probably just pick her off pretty easily at that rate. But when it's her turn and she's going at you, she's most likely going to kill something and not die in return. Like, she's not going to completely just straight up suicide into the enemy team. She's just going to, you know, go in, bonk whoever she needs to, and still be quite healthy enough to, again, if you get like a Gale Force off, she should most likely be above the HP threshold to get her full benefits again. So it's kind of just like, you're kind of stuck just dealing with her at that rate. That's what I would imagine. All right, next up, we've got La Rochelle. Finally, she's actually a staff cav. It's kind of weird seeing her bring in Ivaldi along with her, like initially, making her like a blue mage cav. So seeing her at least remain somewhat faithful to her initial appearance in Sacred Stones, making her troubadour. I think this makes a lot of sense, just lore-wise. So she's got the Staff of Roston. She's got Wrathful. At the start of turn, inflicts -6 res and stops preventing counterattacks on closest foes within 5 spaces of unit through their next actions. And if she initiates combat, she'll get +6 attack and speed during combat. Okay, so... okay, this is actually pretty nice. Like, you would take, basically, in a way, kind of what Solon had, but you make it a lot more consistent, at least somewhat. Mostly down to the fact that, I mean, -6 res is like, whatever, it's something. It's consistent, and it should do what you need to do. But I think the flash is a real big thing to note here. I think this is going to be pretty heavily used, at least for some ARDs, at least that I would imagine. Just because of the sheer strength of flash as is. And I know a couple people who, at least that I know and know me, we both have like a mutual understanding that, hey, and I think, well, the community understands as well, that flash is actually pretty damn potent. And in a way, it hasn't been fully realized, but at the same time, it's becoming a lot more and more noticed. And I think that's honestly fine. It's very powerful. And just being able to have that on a unit who's literally giving it out super consistently without having to even initiate combat at all. She can stay back within the 5 spaces that she needs to and just have it set off every single turn, and there is nothing you can do about it. The only thing that you can maybe do about it is by canceling it out some turns with odd recovery, and that's it. Maybe other stuff like whatever else can cancel negative status effects. I don't quite remember everything right now off the top of my head, but there is some stuff that can remedy it, but there's not a lot right now, at least let alone easily accessible. So they're getting this off basically for free, and it's not bad. And even when she needs to, she can literally go in and bonk somebody and get out for free based on the rest of her kits. So because, I mean, for one, she has attack speed push 4, which, I mean, it's kind of but at the same time, it works out. I mean, that is literally the best offensive A that you can get, at least that I remember, unless you can get ideals. I don't actually remember if you can get ideals on staff units. I haven't fully checked on that, but it's possible, maybe. I don't know. Someone's gonna have to correct me later on. Windfire Bomb Plus, just fine to have, honestly, including Rescue Plus. That's actually pretty nice. So that's not on just Blaine. Yeah, except this is sadly going to be locked to seasonal, but at least there's more than one unit with this in the game. But I don't think this really makes that much of a difference, just because, well, Flynn is actually on main rotation of banners, or at least a pitiable unit, whereas La Rochelle won't. And it's just like, well, okay, that happens. The same sort of thing going on from Tana is going on here with La Rochelle. She's got Speed Res Far Trace. So what is the difference here? Like, because they call it near and far, is it just that specific stuff? I don't know. I mean, it's the same sort of conditioning where they're giving -3 to the foe during combat based on whatever dual set they have, this one being speed and res. Okay, so Far Trace actually doesn't give you the +1. That's what it is. Okay. If you're just going in and just using one space of movement, you can use like the 2 after. 2, 1, 3, 0. Basically like that, and well, I guess 0, 3, 2. I think this is fair, honestly, just because, I mean, you don't want to give ranged units just all that sort of free movement at that rate. And I think IS realizes that. That's why she doesn't have this. And probably the distinction is that near and far are going to be respectively on those units that actually have those combat ranges, so that they actually hold that restriction in place so that it's not completely breaking the game. I mean, that's why you only see a unit like Reagan, who is a sword cav, being able to have full access to Kanto and, you know, being able to get away with it. But you wouldn't see somebody like, if you were to give this to Reinhardt, for example, he wouldn't be able to just go in, use all 3 spaces, bonk somebody, and then use 3 spaces back. No, that'd be absolutely just disgusting. And that's why being able to use this at least restricts that, so that that's not necessarily the most possible thing to do. Because the last movement that you have from your Kanto makes you more susceptible to getting punished by your enemy, which I think is kind of the point. You don't want a ranged unit being able to do that, and that's how they're trying to punish it, or at least balance it, so that you need to take into account how much movement you're actually going for, and just going off of that. I mean, this is basically the safest way to band-aid putting Far Trace on Airdy to make sure that that stuff isn't completely going whatever. Because you could basically, at that rate, I would imagine you could probably just bait somebody out. Like if you were to bait out a range cav, like they would have to most likely use all of their movement to just get to you. So they can't just go back later on unless they get moved a little bit closer, then dance, then they get closer to you. Then they'll most likely have some sort of movement, but it really depends. People are going to figure out how to play around that to make it so that they can get the most out of their Far Traces on some of their ranged units. So we'll see what honestly ends up happening out of that. This is also, I guess, in a way, a replacement for... Not necessarily a replacement for lulls, it just depends on what you want. Because both give the dual stat -3. It's just that one clears visible buffs, or at least neutralizes bonuses, whereas this one gives a remainder of Kanto. So it really depends on really what you like out of this. I feel like for me personally, that what I would imagine seeing is that I can imagine people probably giving this to Dual Lift even though they're probably okay with their base lull. I believe it's a, what was it? I don't even remember. Maybe attack res, it's something. I can see them replacing this just for the sake of being able to, and I know that people have used Duelif in their compositions to basically, in a way, basically go up, move up, maybe go for a rally trap, then you have a dancer dance them, and then you use some of their movement to take somebody out for free. And they could just use that Kanto for free, and it's just like, well, great. I know that's going to make my life a lot harder than it already is. Just because of what I do with my AR, I just get completely dumpstered by Duelifs, and it's just like, well, it was nice on you. So this is going to be a lot more interesting to see how this is going to affect player hands. And I mean, well, yeah, another bruiser on the along the way. Probably not as strong as, actually, I don't know what I would say if Tana or Larshell is stronger. I guess it really depends on what you utilize a little bit more. And she does have her stats, that's what I figured. So she's got 36, 51, 38, 16, and 30. I mean, overall, you really just need to see that she has an offensive spread. That's really it. And I mean, it's a 14 might staff, right? So then I believe that is it's at 37 base, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think. So 37, 38. And then you've got the +6s and then the +7s. So there you go. Overall, just, you know, the offensive spread that you would at least imagine. And even then, you've even got, well, I guess Wind Firebomb Plus to give you some bonuses to you and your team, I guess. So there you go. It's just, overall, you have somebody who can do some combat, gives some pretty strong debuffs, and depending on how she moves, decent-ish mobility. Even more than you would at least ought to expect from a ranged cav. Just getting a little bit more from Kanto Remainder, which doesn't sound bad. So, Lyon, he's coming on here as a 4-star focus, and he has a lot to live up to compared to last year's Young Marth being the 4-star focus. Can you really hold out to it? That's what I want to know. He's here as a blue mage infantry, which honestly doesn't sound bad for a class as is. Recently, we've been getting a lot more 4-star units that are at least specifically red mages. We've had like 3 within the last 3 since the book has come out so far. So it's kind of just like, it's a hint of fresh air that we have somebody who is not just a red mage, can at least be a different color. But I guess it really depends on how does he stand out to really make him worth a 4-star limited focus. So we've got a Tome of Grado, grants attack +3. Full initiates combat or foe's HP is at 100% at start of combat. Inflicts attack and res -6 on foe and neutralizes units' penalties to attack and res during combat. And then gets a Raven effect. That doesn't sound too bad. I guess it's kind of like a Brynja-ish weapon. It's just not giving the plus stats, it's just neutralizing your penalties. I think that's the best way to make it. So basically, or what is it? Well, I don't know. Anything that I can think of already has like a tagged on effect. Like you can imagine somebody, I believe like Carrot Cudgel, I believe, does this sort of thing. Or it neutralizes your penalties to attack and specifically defense, but then gives you the buffs there. This is sort of what it's doing here with attack and res, but it's inflicting furthermore on the foe. But it's kind of like as if you are getting buffs at that rate, so it's like whatever. And I mean, Lyon colorless effectiveness is kind of just tradition at this rate. You're not going to see a form of Lyon, or at least like a fronting Lyon, without Raven effectiveness. So it's kind of just like, well, I guess that's something. Maybe it's not as strong of a weapon compared to having Rapier be 4-star focus accessible, but at the same time, this does feel quite strong, at least for what Lyon wants to do, because knowing it, he's going to have a lot of attack, definitely a lot more attack than I believe Marth ever would, and probably a lot more resistance. I wonder about the rest of his stats, because I don't think they show that. Otherwise, you've got Iceberg, sure, just it's what you would expect. Attack res solo 3. I believe this is actually a reference to, or at least whatever, because Fallen Lyon, I believe, has attack res solo 3, if I remember correctly. It's either that or Raz attack res 3. Maybe both, I don't remember. I know he has something like that, so makes sense. And then otherwise, this is probably actually going to be his 4-star skill. Defense res gap 3. Well, that's definitely not new. I forget who otherwise had it, but I think that's just besides the point. It's kind of just like whatever. We'll just give that to whoever is the tanky unit. So if I had to think about it right now, if you want to use them out of the box just as is, although let's be honest, if you're going for this Lyon, you are definitely not just going for him as a one-off copy. You're going to plus 10 him because, I mean, he's a 4-star focused special unit with a quite honest perf, to be honest. But if you want to just use him for the one-off copy, which some people definitely will, I mean, you can literally just use him as a bait unit for for some save shenanigans, because that defense res gap is going to be juicy on basically mostly armor units who are going to have a lot in most of those stats. They're going to be 2 spots away from him, which is enough for near save and far save both, depending on who attacks. So if you pair him up with a save unit, Lyon is basically just, lack for a better word, safe at that rate, and he's getting still the full benefits of his kit if he's going in on like an initiation. I don't know, it really depends. Honestly, just have him near save unit and you'll be perfectly fine at that rate. So all right, Vector players, just I guess you can pair him up next to him 2 spaces away and you'll be perfectly fine. Yeah, sounds about right. I think overall, at least the comparison, it can work out. It's not like it's anything to where you can get a 4-star focus unit that can fill a pretty easy slot to fill compared to like young Marth, who was able to fill in a pretty comfortable sword infantry slot for at least a while. I mean, he still can if you give him R dual infantry 4, but at least here what you get is, well, what you get, and you can still work at it. You can literally give Lyon B dual infantry 4 from Marianne at that rate and still be pretty well off. I guess it really just depends on where all of his stats lie, because he's obviously going to have a lot of attack, a lot of res, probably not a lot of defense, and middling speed. I guess I really want to see where that speed number is at to see if that's even remotely salvageable. Probably not, but it would be nice to see. I mean, he is a Gen 5 mage at that rate, so you never know. But at the same time, I don't think we need to expect too much from Lyon. I think he's going to be okay, but certainly not somebody who can be as annoying as Marth. But I mean, hey, I'm willing to be proven wrong, honestly. I'd rather see another unit like this succeed, just because, I mean, this only happens like once a year where you have a child unit be on a 4-star focus and have pretty decent stuff pulled out for the 4-star focus. Lastly, duo Eirika and Ephraim. I guess it works out. Both of them now finally front as a duo pair, although Ephraim is now the character with the most duo appearances just by sheer coincidence, I feel. But it's kind of like whatever, it happens. Sword infantry, so I guess that's where the sword infantry slot went for this banner. So they've got the Blade of Renee, and I can see it's already an essay, but that's really just because they have bonus and penalty. Let's see. So I have Slam. If unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces away from an ally, you get +5 to all stats. And also, if bonus or penalty is active on the unit, deals damage equal to 20% of foe's defense. And also, if units deals damage to foe during combat, restores HP equal to 20% of foe's defense. What? What? So, I mean, the slang and the +5 to your stats based on initiation or being within space of your ally, that makes sense. But based on just how things are going here, because you're most likely always going to have a bonus and or a penalty on you, even if you're cleansing them or not, it doesn't really matter. You're dealing damage based on your foe's defense, but then you're also restoring HP based on that same amount. So you're dealing more damage to your foe while also healing up that same amount to yourself. I find that really hard to believe in a way, or at least I find that really weird, but like, it's not like it doesn't make sense. I guess I just find it very, at least innately, a bizarre ability, mostly just because of, I guess, sheer shock value. I guess that's probably what I should describe it as, because it feels very potent, mostly because it's down to the fact that this is proccable from both having a bonus and or a penalty. So no matter what you hit this Eirika with, you have nothing you can do about this at all. I feel like in a way this also kind of rings home back to when Legendary Alm first dropped, because I don't quite remember the number of percentage that he melted through defense on. It was definitely over 20, probably like 25 that rate. I don't remember. Somebody's going to have to correct me, or if I can just put it on screen like right now. Hi post editing me. But yeah, no, it rings home to that, but then you also have passive healing based on that same number, which I find very interesting. I would have understood, obviously, if they did something along the lines of just giving them like 5, 7, or 10, because I mean, that's usually numbers that we've already seen comfortably. So, but making it 20% of foes defense, it feels really weird, because it basically makes you want to go up against tankier units in a way, because that's the most that you're going to get out of this weapon, because you're going to deal more damage and you're going to heal up more, because this isn't really going to apply for anybody who is a lot more frail, at least when it comes to defense. But at the same rate, it's probably not going to matter at all, just because, I mean, hey, it's a sword infantry. They're going to be very offensively potent. They're probably going to kill whoever it is that they're initiating on if they are frail. So I guess it really depends on how potent this weapon really is when it comes to taking on those tankier units that typically sword infantries might have a problem with, just because of maybe, say, color effectiveness, or just, you know, stats just not working in their favor, and, you know, other skills. Like if you're going up against armor units, like if you're going up against like a Vector, you usually get screwed over because of the combo that he has based on his multi and whatever you give him for a B skill, whether that's like Vengeful, Special, Bold, etc. You get the point. You usually don't have much you can do really there, so it's going to be very interesting to see how they stack up against them, based on the fact that they have the sort of defense shredding ability that Legendary Alm has, but then also has passive healing for that same amount as well, which I think is really good sustain-wise. And I think this could be pretty useful, at least in a good amount of those matchups. I just wonder how it will work for all matchups, including the ones that they are innately disadvantaged or disadvantageous with. Otherwise, I mean, they have Luna. That makes sense. That'll make things a little bit easier. That shouldn't... Actually, would that actually counteract with their weapon? I don't think it should. But, I mean, there's a chance, but at that rate, it's whatever. It'll probably just make it so that if you guarantee just use your Luna on somebody, they're probably going to die at that rate, which I think just... It makes sense. Distant Foil, I feel, is really weird here, but at the same time, I don't know. I guess this works for dealing with units, say, like Legendary Crom. That could work out. Legendary Leaf. Those are two units that are pretty defensively tanky and are physically ranged. So I can see where that works out. And I mean, even if you're going up against just a melee unit in general, you are getting the attack and defense, so it doesn't really matter at that rate. It's kind of just like a weirdish passive sort of... basically a sturdy chance 2.5 at that rate, based on just the stat allocation. You're just not getting any guard. You're getting a conditional DC based on if the unit hits on defense. So I find that a little weird, but I guess it works out. No follow-up. Okay, that makes sense, actually. It just makes it so that if you do go up against, say, a Vector, you're going to make sure that you're going to get both of your hits in. There's nothing in this weapon that can be done to prevent that, just because of the skill working. It's just like, okay, well, there you go. I mean, it's very possible that depending on their speed, this is just going to get replaced with something like Spurn, depending on the numbers and just the matchups. But I can see where this works out, at least innately on a base kit, so it's kind of just like whatever. Then Joy Drive Speed. I feel like in a way, if they had something along the lines of just giving them like an innate bonus, like if they could self-sustain, give themselves a bonus just so that they could proc their ability, this could have been a little bit better. But at the same time, this probably works out just based on the fact that, I mean, hey, you're just getting a little bit more speed to yourself and whoever you might be nearby, just because, hey, it's really just free stats. And most likely you're going to have teammates that will give you bonuses. If not, enemies will give you penalties. So I guess it really depends on how frequent people really want to give them to, because at this rate, if they become like some sort of weird meta, it's like nobody's going to want to run either stat in the player hands, you're going to want to run bonuses here just so that you can proc it off, because it's not like having a penalty will cancel it out. I mean, it just helps even more. It's like, in a way, I kind of just see them as like a Thanos, in a way that it doesn't matter what the hell is done, it's inevitable. So it's kind of just like, well, have fun losing your match at that, right? Or, you know, maybe even winning it if they're on your hands. You know, you get what I mean. This is going to be a very love-hate relationship in this sort of way, based on if you have them or if you're going up against them. It's going to be very, very annoying to deal with them, I would imagine. Your duo skill, what is it exactly? So, grants dodge. Oh my god, they got damage reduction based on a duo skill. Wait. 2 units and allies in 3 rows and 3 columns. Okay, so it's a 3x3 square. But then it's also refreshed an odd number of turns that you get a speed base. Oh, wait, dodge? Oh my god. Wait, so the dodge rate. Okay, so dodge or avoid is literally damage reduction. Okay, that makes so much sense. I mean, we kind of figured that at this rate, but like, really? Oh my god, that's what they're calling this. I find this really weird that they're giving you a very consistent speed-based damage reduction, or at least damage reduction as it is to anybody at that rate. That's actually really nuts, especially for a duo skill. Maybe this would have been maybe a little bit better to test out on like a harmonized or whatever, because it most likely would have been on that unit, or, you know, units when it comes to like resonant battle. But applying this to everybody just by being around said unit, that is very scary. More so, I guess, in player hands. It's not like you'll deal with this as like if you have them on enemy phase or whatever, if they're in AI hands. This won't really matter, but this is actually ridiculous, just based off of the sheer fact that you can use this more than once. At that rate, you can literally just run null follow-up and not even have to worry about damage reduction, because you can literally pick and choose your engagements. Most likely, you're just going to engage on odd number turns just so that you can use your duo skill so you can get free damage reduction. That is ridiculous. I mean, you can easily run sprint as well and stack up however much. I mean, it's not like it's going to be 80. I don't remember the calculation exactly. Honestly, if somebody wants to tell me in the comments what having two max 40% would equivalent to, I don't fully know. So, I mean, it's something you could do. I wouldn't recommend it just because it's not really that much at that rate, at least what I would imagine. So it's kind of just like, it feels redundant is what I'm trying to say. But I think more just the sheer thought of having this be a thing as a duo skill, that is... I don't even know what to think. I feel like I'm very, very blown aback by this. When you compare this to Trio Pala, this, like, the staggering comparison to what you have here, I find. Yeah, you might have like the conditional like brave and that sort of stuff, having a high attack and just being able to do whatever, but this is just ridiculous. You get basically a legendary style dish weapon with obvious sword, infantry stuff you would imagine, but you also get passive healing based on just foe defense. You have basically the kit to help you deal with armor engagements, and then you also have just passive damage reduction based on refreshing on odd number turns. You don't even have to run this in a kit. That is, I don't even know what to think here. Like, Jesus Christ. Wow, that is very scary, but also very cool. And this is the sort of stuff that you would honestly expect from a banner like this. And their stats. Okay, so it's 40, 52, 43, 30, and 28. Yeah, this is just typical, you know, sword infantry stats and that sort of stuff. It's a very, I guess, honest stat line. It's kind of just what you get. You can do the math. I can, because it's, you don't have a stat up, right? I don't believe so. Yeah, it's just the slang. So then you've got 52 minus 16. Okay, so it's just 36 at that rate. Okay. So 36-43, that's not honestly awful. But given everything that they have in their kit, based on doing more damage based on how high your defense is, so that's just like 20% more, or just more just damage as is, on top of just, you know, the innate just +5 to all stats just by, you know, fulfilling very easy conditions, it'll just stack up, and really there's nothing you can do about it. It's just like, it's very deceptive, at least looking at the stats at first, but they stack up. They really do. And it's just, well, have fun dying to them. And then, I mean, obviously, we've got, where is it? Inez. I'm probably not going to have it included into the video unless I work on this very, very late to where it'll be there. If not, I'll include it probably just maybe on screen, if anything. Sure. I don't know. But yeah, I'm very curious to see what you'll bring to the free-to-play table, at least when it comes to being a gradable unit. I mean, higher-ish base HP, at least higher-ish average than what you would normally expect nowadays. And also being a bow infantry unit, most likely with a perf. If he doesn't have a perf, that's going to be pain, but he's going to probably have a perf, I would imagine. So what you see is what you get. He's probably not going to compare as well to Minerva, I would imagine. But at the same time, you never know. We'll see what happens. But overall, I'm pretty excited for this banner. I'm honestly not even going to pull, though, because, I mean, I got to save up for other stuff that I'm working on. But if you've got expendable orbs and you like what you see here, this stuff is going to influence the meta no matter which way you go. It just depends on if you get lucky and what you really want to go into. It's going to be a very meta-defining banner going forward. And based on the fact that this is the second time in a row that they've done this, I am very curious to see where they go with this in the future, honestly. So, yeah, I guess this was a... I guess I could say this was a perfect birthday surprise, if I really want to call it. I mean, I didn't really care too much for Sacred Sons, but getting such a very interesting banner, in a good way, obviously, like this, announced on my birthday, I mean, I'll take it. Why not? So, yeah. Otherwise, thanks for watching, everybody. I really do appreciate it. If you liked what you saw here, and if you run a poll, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you like what you see here. And, yeah, videos are probably, I'm going to be honest, probably going to be a little more sparse. I feel like I kind of hit a brick wall recently, despite trying to go really hard this month, and I feel like I just need to take things at my own pace. I feel like I just need to do things that I want to do. So I'm going to warn you, I'm probably just going to experiment with a lot of weird stuff to figure out what it is that I'm trying to do. But hopefully you stick around with the along the ride. And anyways, yeah. I'm just going to sound like a broken record, but yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. I really do appreciate you. And see you guys soon. Take care.